Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Julene with Jovi Star Astrology. Happy Friday. It is Friday, October the 6th, 2023. And I'm popping on here to take a look at a transit that is perfecting over the weekend, is in play right now, and will be over the weekend and into the beginning of the week. And that is Mars in the sign of Libra. Just having been conjunct the South Node, squaring Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, both cardinal signs. So we're talking about initiating something, some kind of movement here. And we know that we have the nodes in Aries and Libra. So it's a hot spot, right? Things are definitely changing. So when we have a planet like Mars squaring a planet like Pluto, this could be quite electric, right? Quite combustible. We could see some very interesting fireworks over the weekend, especially if you are a cardinal sign. So that's going to be Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn. If you have Sun, Moon, or Rising in any of those signs, and even a personal planet, you will be experiencing this square. And tomorrow, October 7th in the afternoon, it's going to be creating a cardinal grand cross because the moon is in Cancer. So when the moon hits 27 degrees, which, the moon tends to trip things off. So tomorrow afternoon could be something that that is quite electric, right? Something could be changing tomorrow. So I'm going to throw the chart up there. Take a look. I'll point the aspect out to you. And I also, after that, want to take a look at the United States Sibly chart. And that is the chart for July 4th, 1776, that a lot of astrologers use when looking at the events of the United States. So this Mars square Pluto is making it interesting. It's making a square, obviously, but it's interesting in where the placements are for the United States. So we'll take a look at that and maybe speculate a little bit on what kinds of things we might be looking for there. Okay, so here we have Mars over here at 27 degrees of Libra and Pluto at 27 degrees of Capricorn retrograde, creating this square. 3:15 tomorrow, Mountain Standard Time, where I'm at. We're right with the West Coast right now. So this would be applicable to the West Coast. 6:15 p.m. on the East Coast. Adjust for your time zone if you are in another area of the world. But this square here, Mars, right? The planet of aggression and action, squaring a planet like Pluto, which can be very atomic and definitely can create significant change squaring off here. And you could see some things pop off. Now, this could be aggressive. It could be moving something for a square is of the nature of Mars. So that is about movement. So a square creates tension. So tension to move something forward, to move something out of the way, to create some kind of change. And that change could be a very big change. And at 27 degrees, we're talking about possibly conversations, news that you might receive, and definitely movement of some sort. So check your charts to see where Pluto is transiting and where Mars is transiting. And keep in mind that Mars has just picked up some information, some kind of past karma that it's working with as it squares Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. This is something that is probably fated and destined to occur and is part of the growth and evolutionary process for you personally, if this is affecting you. And we could see something collectively as well. So very, very powerful. Now, I should say too, Mars, although it is the ruler of the North Node, in Aries, it is debilitated in the sign of Libra. And I've talked about this. So it is potentially a little bit tempered. Sometimes it can be a little bit undecided because Libra is known for wanting balance. And if something doesn't feel balanced, it may back off or compromise. So it's definitely, in my opinion, not as strong as if, let's say, Mars were in the sign of Aries, creating this square. Also, it's going to bring up Venusian things like things regarding women, relationships. Venus rules money, things like that, all things Venusian, but definitely a little bit and potentially tempered down. Things that are of legal nature, fair things that are wanting fair and balanced action here. But definitely something that will be creating some kind of change. So, and it could be very, very big. So keep an eye out for that. And again, it could be positive change. It could be moving something forward that's been stuck, right? South Node, something from the past, something we're familiar with. Something could have been stuck from the past for a very long time, right? Mars is helping move that forward as it squares Pluto, uncovering something. This could be subconscious too. It could just be processing something subconsciously that has kept you stuck, right? So lots of different ways this can play out, but it's likely to create very big change. Okay, let's stop the share here, and I'm going to throw up the United States chart and just show you what we can look for tomorrow for the United States. And I hope this comes up right because I was playing with it before and it was doing something strange, but I think I got it figured out, and my hope is that I won't have any kind of glitch here while I'm doing the video. Okay. Looks okay from my side. So I'm going to pull it up here and we can take a look. All right, so here we have the United States Sibly chart. Like I said, this is the chart created for July 4th, 1776, 5:10 p.m. in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where the Declaration of Independence was put in place and signed. And we have on the inside that chart, right? So we're looking at transits to the United States Sibly chart, which are represented by the planets that are moving on the outside. So if we're talking about Mars in the sign of Libra at 27 degrees, just having conjunct the South Node, like I was talking about in the other chart, and this is going to be tomorrow at, I think it actually is in Philadelphia tomorrow at 3:15 p.m. that this occurs, according to this software. But it's in the afternoon. Like I said, sometimes the software acts very strange. I used to think it was me, right? Like I'm just not using it right, but it is very glitchy. Or so that's my story. I'm sticking to it, right? Okay, so we have Mars 27 degrees in the sign of Libra, transiting the 10th house. Of course, South Node transiting the 10th house of the United States chart represents its reputation, right? In the world, it represents its leaders, political leaders. And we have Pluto down here in the second house, which is about its financial security, right? And its value and its assets. And of course, the United States has been experiencing its Pluto return, which it never has experienced. This is a very first Pluto return for the United States of America. Now, other countries, if you look back at the history, what the kinds of things that may have happened during a first Pluto return for other countries completely changed the landscape of some of those countries. If you want to Google, take a look at Pluto returns for other countries and things that happened, I think it'll be quite interesting reading if you're interested in this. But if you notice, Pluto at 27 degrees, in the transit, Pluto at 27 degrees in the United States chart. Now, Pluto is retrograde, and this is the third time, as we've talked about before, when a planet goes retrograde over a point, it's going to hit 3 times. This is the third time that it will hit. Well, actually, the second time that it will hit. Sorry, before it stations direct just in a few days this week. I believe it's October 11th, and then moves back over and hits 27 degrees. So we're getting to a critical place in this Pluto return for the United States of America. Now, Pluto can decimate change. We know it's breaking down structures and creating change that will never ever return to the form that it was before. And we know that those things have happened, right? In when we're talking about the United States and the things that have happened financially and with its financial institutions and its structures, and its assets and its worth at this point, right? We know that we've been undergoing some serious change in the last few years. So 3 years, probably. I mean, these things have, we've had financial crises before, right? Recessions and things like that. But this was, and it significant in that it came with other things, right? Like the pandemic. Anyway, so we've got Pluto exactly conjunct the United States, Pluto at 27 degrees. And there's the square, right? We have the moon here at 27 degrees of Cancer, creating another side to the square. And then, of course, we have the node at 25 degrees. And so there we have the cardinal grand square. To top it off, we also have United States Chiron that sits, natal Chiron that sits in the 4th house, which in this chart, in a mundane chart for the United States, represents things that are in the ground. So it's natural resources, can represent the military, law enforcement, things that are mined, right? Things that come from the ground, like natural resources, but also like it's minerals, right? That come from the ground. So things that are buried in the ground. It's interesting that the United States has its Chiron in the sign of Aries in the 4th house. And when we're talking about a nodal transit, this is karmic from the past and how we're going to, we're going to process that karma and create something different going into the future. So it's really interesting. I find that the United States has its Chiron in the 4th house in the sign of Aries, which represents war and blood and violence, right? And, who knows how far, when we have a nodal transit like this, those kinds of karmic things go back. I think it sweeps through and brings things up incrementally. But, I think that we all know that there is blood on the hands of the United States when it comes to how it founded, how the country was founded. I mean, we had a civil war, and of course we had the native people that were here. That's a whole nother thing. But nonetheless, tomorrow we have this cardinal grand square showing up for the United States, and the moon is going to represent the environment, potentially the people, right? The emotions, the overall just sort of flavor of the environment in the sign of Cancer. So when I look at this, I think, oh my goodness, what is happening? It's happening, at the time that we're having a nodal transit, which, same as I've spoken about in some of these individual charts, but this is kind of a big deal, right? We have the 10th house. This is very public. And like I said, it can be leaders and politicians. The sun, incidentally, tomorrow will be exactly conjunct the United States Saturn Now, Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra, so it's a, it's a very solid, strong Saturn, but there's something about the sun that is shining a light on potentially our nation's leaders, its morals and its ethics. How there's something, I mean, listen, when I look at this chart and I was thinking, oh my gosh, how many things we could come up with, how many things might be showing up here? It's like, well, the list is unfortunately long, and maybe not so distinguished, right? But we have Mars here, just having moved past the South Node squaring Pluto. So that applies. This is big change. This is something being pushed forward. It could be crisis, right? It could be of a crisis nature. Again, Mars is weak in the sign of Libra. So, hopefully it's not something super serious, but Mars can represent cutting, severing, something going away in the 10th house, our reputation, political leaders. We know that we've had a lot of those things going on. We've seen politicians being unseated and just, a lot of moving around in crisis and just unrest going on in the political arena. Nothing new. We've been dealing with that for a while. But this has something to do potentially with our assets and our worth in the United States, and maybe has something to do with the big change coming financially, even more so than where we're at, because this is a crisis point of some sort. Now, when we're talking about Mars, Mars rules the sign of Aries, so it could be related to our resources. It could involve law enforcement in some way. We know that we have strikes going on. It could be something comes up that law enforcement has to get involved potentially. This could also be maybe about weather, right? We have the moon here. Cancer is a water sign. Mars also rules Scorpio. So, and the Scorpio is the 12th house for the United States. And so when we think about the 12th house, it's what's secret or hidden, what's behind the scenes. It can be secret societies. It can be hospitals, prisons. Scorpio can represent definitely things that are, of a seedy nature, right? It can be crime. Scorpio represents transformation, yes, but death and sex as well. We could be hearing about something that is going on behind the scenes that is sort of exposing something even more corrupt than we've seen, that could be linked to our political leaders. That's possible. Again, at 27 degrees, it's likely some kind of information or movement or a removal of, with Mars there conjunct the South Node. So maybe we see a loss of leadership in some way. We hear about more information that is corrupt. We see something, some kind of serious weather event that affects the land here, or there is something where law enforcement, hopefully not the military. I mean, you'd think we would know, but Pluto is changing the value of the country. So tomorrow afternoon is a time to watch for the United States. The only thing I'm not sure about, like I said when I looked at the transit chart, is with the eclipse coming up next weekend, is this something, especially since Mars rules the 12th house, and that can be things that hidden or secret, will we not hear about it? Like, could something happen? We won't hear about it until, next weekend, or the eclipse around there or after. That's possible too. But one thing for sure, things are changing. Things are definitely changing. So keep an eye out. Let me know what you think. Again, we've had so much change in our government, for our political leaders, in the corporate environments, in our resources and our financial systems. The list is long, but it could get longer, or something could come to a crisis point over the weekend, or sometime before the eclipse. So let's keep an eye out. Okay, I'm going to stop the share. Interesting stuff, right? So that's my example. I am going to post. I actually did a video yesterday that I was gonna post today, which is just reviewing the Aries Libra axis, and did talk a little bit about the Mars square Pluto, but just mentioned it a little bit more about Mercury going into the sign of Libra, and just giving a little bit more attention to Libra, since we are in Libra season and the South Node is in Libra. So I was going to post that today, but when I was looking at the transit chart for over the weekend, I was like, oh, I'm going to do this one first because I want to catch it before that Cardinal Grand Cross actually perfects tomorrow afternoon. So I decided to record this one today, and then I'll post the other one over the weekend, which, like I said, is just kind of a review before the eclipse of what to look for, the planets that are ruling the transits and the nodes, and hopefully that'll be helpful. Anyway, I am off to a football game and a homecoming celebration. So thanks for coming. I really, really appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and share, and comment. Definitely comment down below if you'd like to take a look at your birth chart or your transits and see what might be coming up for you, especially if you're a cardinal sign. Get a hold of me. My information is down below in the description box, email or website. You can get a hold of me either place. And yeah, I will see you very soon. Have a really, really good weekend. Keep your eyes open. It's like eyes wide open, right? What is going on in the United States or with some of its relations, right? Who knows? It could be somebody that we have some kind of international relation to that makes, you know, that affects, something that is very public only because it's Libra. We'll see. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Take good care. May the stars forever be in your favor. Bye for now.